He's absolutely Jason, he's absolutely gay. He'll absolutely brighten up the darkest rainy day. He's funny and loves movies, he's smart and he's a Jew. He's an actor and an activist and wants to hear from you.
Hey everybody, welcome to Absolutely Jason Stewart. I have on this show today my really, really dear friend from God a million years ago, because I knew you before you were married, and you've been married 17 years.
Yeah.
We met at the Comedy Store. We have writer and comedian Betsy Salkind. And we met at the Comedy Store, I'm correct?
I think so.
Yes, because I remember seeing you do, and you're sort of famous for this, you know, for doing the Squirrel Lady.
Yes.
And at first, you did this, you were on The Tonight Show, I mean, which is, I mean, the ultimate for comedians. I mean, the idea of getting on that show and being able to do that was, I think, you know, such a feat, because so many of us have wanted to be on and never got the opportunity for a myriad of reasons, usually because it is a boys' club, but your stuff was so specific, so different. Tell us how that came about. I would love to know. I really don't know that story.
Let's see.
And it was Tonight Show with Carson or with Leno?
No, it was with Leno the first time around. And there was I'm forgetting the name of the comedian who booked the talent at that time, but he had seen the Squirrel at the Comedy Store.
Uh-huh.
And actually, Jay Leno called me himself to ask me to be on the show, but
Wow.
I didn't believe it was him.
No.
I was like, yeah, you know, right, who the fuck is this? And I was just, oh, are we allowed to say?
Yeah.
Okay. I really did
It's
not.
too late now.
I did not believe that it was him. And
Because everybody does Jay Leno.
yeah, and also, you know, when does Jay Leno call you himself to be on the show? And I think part of why he called me himself is that he really wanted the squirrel, like just the squirrel, as opposed to, you know, a regular where I get to talk.
Uh-huh.
So
Well, it's a long bit.
it is.
It isn't a bit that you could do. I mean, how long is it? It could be anywhere from...
It can be from normally it's 2 to 4 minutes, but I've done it for hours at a time as well.
No.
In New York, in Central Park,
Wow.
as a busker.
As a what?
A busker? You know, and mostly it's musicians where they play and they stick their guitar out for money.
You're a better person than me.
So, well, I
I
made
could
a little
never
bit
do
of
it.
money doing that when I was living in New York.
How lovely. So tell us, so Jay Leno calls you on the phone, you hang
Yeah.
up on him. Did you
I almost hung up on him, and then, but it was real. He sounded like every imitation of him. And so I did it, and it was truly thrilling. It was really fun.
And what year did
And
you
normally I land the squirrel on the wall at the end, and
Right.
instead I
There's
landed
no-
it on Jay.
And people went crazy.
Yeah. But it was in '98, I think. So it was
Wow.
before the internet. So actually nobody could really see that particular version of the squirrel unless they could get into NBC's vaults. But there are lots of
You
versions.
don't have a copy of it?
You know, I probably have like a VHS or a beta tape or something.
Oh my God, you should actually have it made into
You're right. I should get
and
that.
put it on the internet. I
You're
mean,
right.
I think...
There's a ton of me as the squirrel on the internet
Uh-huh.
in other performances of it, including on Showtime and some other stuff. So.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful, wonderful.
Yeah, so people can find that on.
And what happened after you did that? Because that was sort of your introduction.
Well, it was. I thought that what would happen after that is, you know, I'd be a huge star, and it turns out that those days had sort of ended already. That
Well,
the
does
days when you went on the Tonight Show and you were made had kind of ended because there
Well,
were so many channels.
Basically, I think the last people to do that were probably Roseanne, Drew Carey, maybe Margaret Show.
Yep.
Those kind of people were stars overnight, and that was in the late 80s and the early
Yep,
90s.
that's
Oh,
right.
there goes my sign.
So this was the late 90s, and by then, I mean, it's been really helpful in terms of going on the road, and, you know, it makes you a legitimate comic.
Well, it gives you a hook.
Right.
Openly gay comic, Squirrel Lady.
Yeah.
Jew. You know,
Right.
people always, unless you're a straight boy, because it is a boys' club.
Yes.
And you got supported very early on in your career by Roseanne Barr.
Yeah.
I mean, when you were very young, you were made a writer on her show.
Yep.
What seasons did you work on?
The last season,
And what
which
was-
is sort of embarrassing in a way, because I actually have writing credit for the lowest rated Roseanne show in the history of the program. But that's not because I wrote that script. We actually wrote them all together, and we were sort of randomly assigned credits. And I happened to get that credit. And the reason it was so low is that the week before the show was really bad. But that's total trivia. But I loved working on that show, and I had been a huge fan of it before that.
Oh my God.
I was living in Massachusetts, and I would watch the show, and never in a million years imagined I'd be working on it.
How did your relationship with Roseanne come about?
You know Carrie Snow, right?
Of course. Carrie Snow, wonderful comedian.
Yep. So Carrie was working for Roseanne already. She was writing on the show, and I knew Carrie from the Comedy Store, and somehow Roseanne had heard about the Squirrel.
Always back to the Squirrel.
Yes, because the Squirrel at that time I ate a big piece of matzah, but now I'm gluten free, so I can't do that anymore. I have the toasted brown rice tortilla now.
Everybody's gluten free. I don't know how that happened.
I guess we all stopped wanting to feel like sick all the time. But anyway,
That's what Bill Maher says. Is everybody's making us sick.
I feel so much better. But anyway, my act was killing me, and I didn't even know it. So she heard about that, and I guess ABC was going to do a Hanukkah special. And she thought the squirrel eating a matzah would be perfect for the Hanukkah special. And then, so she asked around the staff, does anybody know who does the squirrel? And Carrie said, yeah, I know who it is. And so Carrie asked me for a tape.
There we go.
Yep, that's it. So I took a tape and like a VHS, and I gave it to Carrie. She gave it to Roseanne, and then I was
VHS tape that weighed like 3 pounds.
Yeah, and I was going to be on the Hanukkah special, but then ABC decided that that was too Jewish. The Hanukkah special was too Jewish, and they canceled the whole show.
Can you believe it? So let's just.
I don't know if that's really true, but
let's just
that's
go
what
back
Roseanne
to
said.
this. Okay? And I'm sure, and she wouldn't lie because
No.
she didn't care what people thought.
Right, it's true.
So we're biggest show
Still
on
doesn't.
television, biggest show on TV.
Yeah.
One of the biggest stars, Emmy winner,
Yep.
decides to do a Hanukkah special. They tell her no,
Yeah.
too Jewish.
Yep.
Is that just
So that was then nothing happened, and then a couple years later, she was doing. She took over for Mad TV. There was like a slot at Fox for a variety show, and she had created a show called Saturday Night Special.
Which was everybody was so upset that she used that name, and because Saturday Night Live, and she was trying to compete.
Well, and
it
also
was a real
it's
fuck
like
you to them.
for a gun, right? So.
A gun meaning?
Well, I mean, Saturday Night Special is a kind of gun. So, anyway, at that time, gun violence wasn't as big as it is now. So that show was happening, and it was a sketch variety show. And I've been writing sketches and short films and stuff. So I really wanted to be on that show. And I didn't have an agent. I sent all my stuff in, and I could never get anywhere. And even though Roseanne knew who I was, I couldn't get to her. And then I was sending scripts and all kinds of stuff, and nothing. And then one day,
Real scripts in real form without internet.
yeah, paper, yeah,
What's that?
yeah. It's well, there were these things called trees, and then
They killed them.
they killed them.
Not
yes.
with a gun, though.
No. They beat them to pulp and then put ink on them. So nothing happened, and then the show was cast. They had all their writers, and it was happening. And then a kind of stalker guy invited me to the taping because he had a couple of tickets for the
Stalker
taping.
meaning a big fan.
Yeah.
Not a bad guy?
Not a bad guy.
Okay.
But
Do I know him?
no,
Okay.
I don't know.
Were
I
you
don't
on a
know.
date?
I can't even remember. No, it wasn't really a date. But anyway,
You went with a stalker to the
I went with a
Roseanne
stalker
show.
to the Roseanne show. But it turned out there were a lot of people had tickets to this. And it was the very first taping of that show. And it was at the Radford lot, and all of the people who...
CBS Radford, for those who don't know, is the second. We have a CBS TV city in Hollywood, in the North Hollywood, in the Valley. We have CBS Radford, but half the
And
shows
that's where
there are
lots
not,
of sitcoms are shot.
yeah, but half the shows there are not CBS, which is
right,
so weird.
Right. So Roseanne was shot there.
Which is
Seinfeld
ABC.
was there. Tons
NBC.
of... Yeah.
Right. I did Will and
Gary
Grace.
Shandling show,
Will and
which
Grace.
was HBO.
I did Will and Grace.
Yeah,
Twice.
exactly. So, so people were lined up out in the parking lot to get in, and I think we were probably numbers 120, 122, whatever. A producer came out and said, "I'm really sorry, but I can only take the first 100 people. The rest of you come back next week, and we'll give you first priority." And I was like, "No, I'm not coming back. I'm going to France next week." Because that was what I bought myself a ticket to France to make up for the fact that I could not get seen for this show.
No.
Yeah. And I'm like, I'm going to France. We're getting in.
I love that. So you really into self-aggrandizement.
Yeah, it was kind of bold at the time.
I just hey, I'm
now I
giving
can't
myself.
believe I did these things, but I walked up to the table.
You've always been very bold, and we're going to talk about that.
That's true. But I knew some of the writers, so I went up to the, where they were, the press table, and I said, and I tried to get a hold of somebody I knew to get in there, and it was kind of chaotic. It was the first show. It was before 9/11. There wasn't great security, and somehow somebody handed us 2 press passes. So we didn't say anything. We just went backstage, and we had all access. So
that's crazy.
Hour later, I'm in the green room, eating.
With your press pass.
Yes, eating.
And a pad, trying to pretend.
Stuffing my face, right?
Trying to pretend like you were working
I
for
didn't even pretend. I just was there, and then Roseanne saw me. And
she said, "Squirrel Lady."
Actually, I forgot. There was another step in between this. At the Comedy Store.
I hope it was fun. I hope it's funny because the story's going really well.
It is. It's a good story. This is really how this happened. I can't believe I forgot this. They used to have the Comedy Awards.
Oh, yeah, George Slaughter Comedy Awards.
Right, and the after party was at the Comedy Store that year.
Yes.
And
they would shut down the entire main room.
Exactly, and I wasn't invited to that. I had nothing to do with the Comedy Awards, but I was a regular at the store, so I could get in through the back door. And I remember
Everybody walked in through the back door.
Exactly. So I'm parking behind the pink dot in a car where I had to climb through the window, and I have a ball gown I got from a thrift store, and I'm like in the back seat putting it on. And I crashed the party, essentially, and I went up to another comic friend of ours and asked her to introduce me to Roseanne.
Who was it? Who did you?
It was Judy Gold.
Actually. Oh, Judy Gold's wonderful.
And she is hilarious and wonderful, and she said no.
That's so Judy Gold.
Yes, exactly. And I was like, well, okay, but I'm not leaving here without meeting Roseanne. And I knew at this point Roseanne kind of knew who I was, but I'd never met her. So I introduced myself, and I was very nervous because, I fully expected her to say, yeah, whatever, and excuse me.
Why are you talking to me?
Right. It's awkward for me to meet people that are, celebrities or people that I am fans of. And certainly it definitely was at that point. So I introduced myself. I said, hi, Roseanne, I'm Betsy. I'm the girl who eats the cracker, the squirrel. And she's like, oh my God, you're so funny. And I'm like, no, you are so funny. And she said, this party's really boring. We're going to do a show. Do you want to go on and do a set? And I was like, yeah, sure. And then I realized, of course, I had no matzah with me. So I'm running around the club trying to find something, and all I could find was a Dorito. So I had to do the squirrel with a Dorito. It was a very short squirrel act that night. And Roseanne introduced me herself, and then I got off stage, and I sat with her and Joanna Lumley.
Did you kill?
Yes.
Joanna Lumley from AdFab.
Yes, and Jennifer Saunders. Because AdFab, they were friends of hers. So I'm sitting at the table with the 3 of them, and by the time, I think I was like up that whole night. It was just so exciting. And by the time I got off stage, the rumor was that I was on her new show.
Wow.
And actually, now that I'm remembering, it was after that I tried to get all my material to her, and I couldn't. So cut to months later, I'm in the parking lot. I got the press pass. I'm backstage, and Roseanne sees me there. And she points at me. She's like, you. And I thought, uh-oh, I'm busted, because I'm eating their food, and I'm not supposed to be here. And
wearing a fake ball gown.
Yeah, exactly. And she's like, come here. And so we're walking down this dark tunnel behind the soundstage, and she says to me, what are you doing? You busy? I'm like, not really. And she said, want to write for the show? And I said very calmly, as if it wasn't a big deal, yeah, sure, yeah.
Well, that is a great Hollywood story, and with that, we're going to take a break. We're going to be right back with Betsy Salkind here on Absolutely Jason Stewart. I love hearing that. That's wonderful. We'll be right back. Please stay with us. Don't change that channel. Oh, my God, we don't have channels.
Oh, my God. I can't believe
And it's Mary Carey, of course, politically naughty with Mary Carey.
I'm always naughty. I'm always politically. My behavior is always politically
naughty.
I'm never politically correct.
Dr.
Dr.
Drew.
Drew, hi. Oh, I'm sorry.
Hey guys, how are
It's
you?
all teary-eyed, Doctor.
I know. She wished she could live at rehab.
If only if Dr. Drew's there. Obviously,
Sure.
if someone like, you know, because a little too groping might be inappropriate, but I like the flirting and stuff.
When I walked
don't
in,
know.
you shoved my head in your.
No! Are you going to sue me?
Get politically naughty with Mary Carey. Mondays at 4 p.m.
Did you know that 67% of American women are size 14 and above?
You mean they look like this?
Yeah, girl.
So then where are we in television and film?
And where are we in fashion magazines and clothing stores?
Yeah.
So we want to help out entertainment and fashion and media.
Catch the F up.
Watch us on Plus This
Live
every Thursday
at 7 p.m.
on Center TV.
I start. Hi, I'm Moxie.
And I'm Nicole, and we're the ladies of
Suicide Girls Radio,
the world's leading BYOB radio show. Pour a glass of your favorite tipple and tune in on Wednesday nights between 8 and 9 p.m. as we discuss life, liberty, and the pursuit of free nipples. Or just flash it would be kind of funny, wouldn't it? People think flashing your tits is easy, right? And it's actually kind of hard.
We're back at Absolutely Jason Stewart with my guest, Betsy Salkind. Betsy has written a book called Betsy's Sunday School Bible Classes. And Classics. And I don't know if I can do this here. Look at that. It's really sweet. It's just absolutely hysterical. You can get this on your website, betsysalkind.com, which is Salkind.
Yes.
And it's a wonderfully funny book. Has a little bit of a Jewish feel to it.
It's actually the Old Testament stories, so it's Christian, Jew, Muslim, anybody, because it's.
But it isn't for children, though.
No, I took the.
Teenagers?
It's for everyone, and it's for children whose parents are willing to explain some things to them. Because I took the Old Testament stories like Abraham and Isaac and Noah's Ark and those things, and I put back all the stuff they take out so children won't be afraid. All the rape and murders and genocide.
The Bible is pretty violent.
Exactly.
And it won the Best Books Award finalist for the USA Book News.
Yeah. So then I illustrated it.
I love it.
And I give voice to the women, the children, and the animals.
Is there any cute short story that you can tell us that would be that you can share with us from the book?
Well, there's actually some video adaptations of those that people can see on YouTube.
Oh, wonderful.
So, or they can find them through my site. You can get this on Amazon, but on my site, I will sign it to whoever you want for free.
Oh, okay.
And free shipping.
BetsySalkind.com.
Great Christmas present. Or Easter.
You've had an incredibly eclectic career.
Yeah.
I mean, you really have. You also have been such a groundbreaker in the terms of, first finding yourself, because I've seen you go from, this dorky little girl to this beautiful swan to this political lady to this squirrel, constantly and going back and forth. And I remember when you changed your look completely and you started coming on stage and wearing these party dresses, your whole act changed.
Yeah.
What? Talk to me about that.
Well, I think I realized at some point that.
Because you're so smart. I mean, your act has always been so smart, and I've always been so jealous, and I wish you would write jokes for me.
Oh, thank you. I think I am like, I'm a joke writer at heart, real. But I realized that if I deliver my material with any anger, even though that's what fuels a lot of it, then the audience is just terrified. But if I come out looking like a Sunday school teacher and I'm totally calm and sweet, I can get away with anything. So.
Well, it's vulnerability.
Yeah,
what it really
exactly.
is. It's just about vulnerability.
And it's just a
And it really wasn't the dress, it was really the attitude.
Yes.
But the dress helped you get the attitude.
Right.
Do you still
you still
dress up when you do it?
I do. I always do. Because it gives me a little more time for the audience to connect with me before they're horrified by what I have to say.
And you did this wonderful show called Anne Frank Superstar.
So that was it's a one-woman show. It's completely fictional. I play all the characters, but I'm not actually in it. I play Anne Frank and Otto Frank, and the main character is a 10-year-old girl named Ethel Spiliotis, who gets a development deal in Hollywood. And the sitcom that they come up with for her is about Anne Frank in the attic called Let's Be Frank. And it all goes terribly wrong. And it's really a satire about how Hollywood exploits the Holocaust, and Anne Frank specifically, and also just about like women in Hollywood, and it's a satire about Hollywood.
I mean, now that you've reached a certain age, you're joining us. You're following me into the over 40s. How do you because you've had some success and some wonderful things that you people you worked with. I mean, you've guest starred on Arliss with tell me his name.
Robert Wall.
With the wonderful Robert Wall. You've worked with tons and tons of absolutely fabulous comedians you've gotten to work for and open for, and people, I mean, all over the world. You recently worked with Liz Winstead, who created The Daily Show. I mean, you've had a really eclectic career. And what do you find? I find that, being in The Birth of a Nation now, which is still in the theater, so people please go see it for the next couple weeks.
Not the original one, the new one.
No, this is a brand new one starring Nate Parker, Armie Hammer, Jackie Raheli, Aisha Naomi King, and me. And I'm really noticing the racism in Hollywood.
Oh my gosh.
In a really big way.
Well,
but it's
actually my new material is really a lot about that. It's
sexism,
sexism and
racism,
and I kind of deal with
and
it
Jewphobia.
Yes, but I kind of, my material about that is really kind of a big metaphor talking about the ant movies, because all of the ant movies, like Ants and Bugs Life, they're all about white male ants. And
every superhero is about a white
male. Right, but
male.
there's no white male ants. I mean, all the worker ants, all the soldier ants are females. All of them.
Really?
Yeah, and same with bees. Like, there just are no males.
What do the guys do?
And they're not white. The guys live for about a week. They go on a flight. They dump their load in a Virgin Queen, and then they die. And that's it.
God.
Like, there's no...
That's what happens to all Trump's people.
Right. There's no white male ant story arc. There's just...
That's fascinating.
And there's no white ants either. So if they were to make a really scientifically accurate ant film, it would be all black women. It would be like a cast of trillions of black women.
Oh my God!
Wouldn't that be phenomenal?
That would be crazy. It
would be awesome. And I'm really having a lot of fun talking about that stuff on stage.
And how are people responding to it?
Great.
Are they really?
They really are responding. Yes, they're responding to it because it's funny and it's an unusual way of talking about it.
Tell me something from it. I mean, what's a slice?
Well, like like I say, there's no white ants, right? They're black ants, brown ants, yellow, red. There's some very, very light brown ants that can pass, and that happens to be a parasitic breed. But anyway, and then to add insult to injury, though, in the most famous one of these movies, which is Ants with a Z, because the Z makes it hilarious, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. It makes it funny because that's comedy.
Right. And in that one, the white male ant is played by Woody Allen. And there just are no
A white male ant is played by a Jew.
Yes, and specifically Woody Allen, which is crazy because there are no white male pedophile ants. There just aren't.
Well, that's not fair to say that. I can't say that on my show.
You can't, but I can.
No, the reason I can't say it is because I'm very sensitive.
He did marry a child. I mean, even if you
we don't know how old she was, and she doesn't either. And I think it's unfair, and we can talk about this because I think it's really unfair to say things about people if we don't know something for sure. I think it's unfair to do that, and we may not like what someone's done. But to say the word, I think words are strong, and because I'm in Birth of a Nation, and because I'm with this guy that had. And I've not talked about this very much at all because it's not my business. And that's what I think also, it's not my business in a lot of ways. That the director was involved in a alleged rape trial literally 18 years ago and was acquitted. And all the information there is there online. And if you read the court transcript, you see that it was his girlfriend and they knew each other and all sorts of things. And people seem to be talking without really reading. and who is a journalist, and who really, and whose words are we reading? Whose people are we saying this is this?
Right,
I mean,
but
if
I mean,
you
in
were
cases
black,
like Cosby or Trump, where there is multiple.
well, there's just tons and tons of information, yes,
Right.
over and over and
And
over.
I think
and that's different.
That's a little more true in
yes,
the Woody case.
Yes. Woody, we don't know.
There's more. Well,
Woody
there's more than
basically
just.
did an awful thing, as he dated his wife's daughter.
No,
and then he
there was
married her.
other stuff too, though.
Yeah, but he says it's not true. It's a he should. And if you read that, you'll also see that no one was in the room but him and the daughter, and she was a child at the time. And you don't know what was going on in their relationship and why they were breaking up and living we don't know all this. And to say something so awful about somebody without really knowing, that's the problem I'm having with everything. Whoever it be, let's just take the names out of it, in terms of what's happening in yellow journalism. And now, because there's so much information out there, it's not the same thing. We're just saying a joke in a comedy club that only you and I and maybe 100 other people hear. Now it's everywhere. And we can ruin people's lives. And everybody's attached to these people. You know, if someone does a movie, there's people attached to it.
I don't think I can ruin Woody Allen's life.
Well, he lost his son. He's no longer in a relationship with his son.
Yeah, but that's
and then
not because of me.
And then he found out his son.
I've got nothing to do with that.
Yeah, but then he found out his son, who you look at him, he looks exactly like Frank Sinatra.
Yes, I know.
And then
we don't know that.
Yeah, but then you find out that. So I'm just saying, so he certainly has paid some sort of price.
Okay, so we'll put that aside.
Yeah, but I'm just
go back to something funny.
Yeah, but you know what I mean. I mean, I feel very strong about that. Yeah,
I hear you.
And I am, and I think it's important to.
I'm just kind of the, the cases of rape victims lying is very, very small. And, we're in a new phase right now where I think people are actually starting to believe the victim. I mean, the funny thing was, like with Cosby,
it's way past rape. I mean, it's also drugging people.
Oh, and that's why I think Trump's numbers are going to be higher because.
Did you hear what happened today to him?
No.
Another
one
his
came
Hollywood star was
I heard
completely
about that,
ruined.
Yes, sledgehammered.
To death.
Yeah, apparently the guy wants to auction the bit and use the money to defend the women he's suing for saying that he raped them. But
and just I'm not putting you down for saying. I'm just saying this is my feelings.
Yeah.
So people at home know that, and this is we can have difference and still love each other.
But I think we're in a great place now, though, because I think even though those 50 women who all said that Cosby,
I think it's 60.
However many it is.
Yeah, I think it's more than that.
They were, nobody believed any one of the individual ones, but somehow we're still able to now believe that he's a rapist, and I think that's progress.
Oh, big time.
Yeah. I mean, and I think if Anita
but
Hill had happened.
Yeah, but we're hearing it from these women's mouths. We're not reading something that somebody else wrote, and that's what I'm saying.
Well, I know, but Woody's daughter said it from her mouth. I mean, it's it's whose mouths are you going to believe, and how many mouths do you need? I think is kind of. But I think Trump's numbers could be way higher. I'm actually in a pool on this. I put it at 200, but Cosby took a while because he had to drug them all, whereas Trump, he could do 5, 10 in a day, no problem.
Well, he's just assaulting women and treating them badly.
Right.
And then hiring them, giving them really big jobs, and then still treating them badly.
Yes.
But
or marrying them.
Or marrying them, or them not being attractive, and then not talking to them, but still giving them, there's all sorts of, but I don't think he's
Otherwise, he's a lovely individual.
Yes, but I don't think he raped anybody. There's never been an allegation.
Actually, there is. And
there's a new one of that?
Case. It's not even new. There's
it's on trial.
There's a trial now about him repeatedly raping a 13-year-old.
He's going to trial on it?
There is a federal case now. Yeah.
That just came out?
No, it's been, I mean, you can read about that one,
and
but it's currently, I think there was a hearing in October. I mean, it's happening. So I don't think we've heard the full story yet.
No.
But I think that a lot of people were
alleged.
intimidated about.
Let's just say that's alleged. I don't want to.
You could say that.
Because I don't ever want to say something about anybody. Even
there really is a case, though.
Yeah.
That's going to trial. So that's not alleged. There really is a case that's been filed in federal court. And I think now that Gloria Allred has stepped up.
Yeah. For this case?
Well, for some of the Trump people. Then I think that more people will come forward because they don't have to worry about being countersued. Mm-hmm. And that, I think, has kept a lot of people from saying anything.
Well, let's take a break. We'll come back and we'll be a little more light.
That's right. Okay, that concludes our rape section of the show.
We'll be back in just a moment here on Absolutely Jason with Betsy Salkind. This is why I have her, because she's smart, she's got opinions. We'll be back in just a moment. Please stay with us. Jason Stewart here for Zinna TV. On the show Absolutely Jason Stewart every Wednesday at 1 p.m. Big guests, everyone from the gayest to gay to the straightest to straight. David, what was his name?
He's absolutely Jason. He's absolutely gay. He'll absolutely brighten up.
Do you have an amazing Lemmy story for me?
An amazing one? Everything he does is amazing. The guy puts snarl in the metal. Come on.
Big heart. Love that guy. That guy was the real deal in every way.
Lemmy was just a class act.
So thank you, Lemmy.
No way I was gonna miss tonight's tribute to the Lemmeister, man.
Let's hear it for Lemmy!
Scream for Lemmy!
Can you feel the energy in the room? Lemmy lives on.
God bless Lemmy, and he will live on through all of us.
To the spirit and memory of Lemmy! Long live Lemmy, my brothers and sisters.
And we're back at Absolutely Jason Stewart with my dear friend Betsy Salkind, and we're talking about her career. And you've been touring now, so you were in New York, and you were doing a show with Liz Winston.
Actually, I was at the Pussy Riot at Trump Tower with Liz. I've done some shows with the Lady Parts Justice League, which is...
Tell us what that is, for those at home who don't know.
So Liz kind of founded this new organization, which is a collective of comedians and writers and activists who have done this fabulous thing where they're doing support for reproductive rights for women, but in a way that's entertaining, and they make videos, like really funny satirical videos for each state to kind of talk about how these restrictive laws are happening all over the country. And then they go on tour and they support the clinics by helping out the clinics or entertaining the people who work there, and really just kind of changing the dialogue around women's right to abortion and other reproductive rights.
Wow.
Yeah, it's phenomenal.
And how did you get involved in it? This sounds great.
Well, I've been friends with Liz. She and I both wrote many years ago on a show for PBS. It was supposedly a feminist Saturday Night Live, but it was done by some Nova producers who didn't have a lot of sense of humor. But so that's when we first met, and we've been friends ever since. And then I knew she was doing the Lady Parts Justice thing, and kind of just got, I've gotten involved as much as I can. They were really based out of New York, but they have people supporting them all over. They're on Facebook, and they also have a website, and you can see all their great videos.
Tell us about Terrorist Bridesmaids.
So the Terrorist Bridesmaids was...
I mean, yeah.
That was before 9/11, let me just say that.
Okay.
It was in Boston, and I had been in an improv group called Guilty Children, which was, men and women, and it was, I guess the name came because the original members were all Catholic and Jewish, so they had a lot of guilt.
Who was in there with you?
So, there were a lot of people in that group. I'm trying to...
Oh, here we are.
Oh, that's right. So that's Dorothy Dwyer on the left, then me, Sue McGinnis, and Helene Lantry, and we had all been in that group, and then we kind of split off and had our own show. Where we did, because we were also stand-ups, so we did stand-up and improv in our show.
Oh, I love that. Show us some more pictures, Kay. I'll ask you, show us some more pictures of your work. Oh, let's see, that's the lovely Cathy Ladman.
Yep. Jan Karam is on the right. That's Wayne Perkins, who's hilarious.
Oh my God, yes.
Yeah.
And who is the other?
And the other woman is, I feel terrible, I cannot remember her name.
Where was that show?
That was I think it was in Santa Monica. It was a fundraiser for her. She was running for office.
I love that.
Yeah, I do a lot of fundraisers.
Show us another.
That's Alison Arngrim.
The beautiful Alison Arngrim from Little House on the Prairie,
Yep.
who's made a career out of being. She's taken that. It's amazing.
It's amazing. Yeah.
And her book is a bestseller.
Yeah.
For those at home don't know, it's called The Confessions of a Prairie Bitch. You can get that at AlisonArngrim.com. She played Little Nellie Olson, and she has taken this book, and the book is fabulous.
Yeah.
It's so well written.
Yeah.
And it's not just about, it's about her whole life.
Yeah,
it's
and
about molestation,
she's a fascinating
and also an
and
incredible,
awesome.
critical career and an AIDS activist and all the wonderful things.
Well,
she's
and then so that's kind of how I got to know her, was through the AIDS activism, because she would always do big fundraisers, and I did some of her
yes,
shows.
that's yeah.
And then we
I
got
did.
involved working together on child protection legislation. She's on the board of. She works with the National Association to Protect Children.
She did it for years.
Yeah, she still does.
Yeah.
She still does, and we worked together to change the law here in California.
Wow, I love that. Show us another. Robin Williams.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
man, how did you know him?
I knew Robin from working at the Throckmorton Theater in Mill Valley, and
Near San Francisco.
yeah, he came to see my show, and that's how we met. And then
Wow.
whenever I was in town, he was there, and it's just really tragic to lose him.
Well, he was ill. People don't know that too.
Yeah,
that
he was very sick.
That he had Hodgkin's.
We had something called Lewy body disease, which
Okay.
it's a kind of dementia. But he'd also, what I'd heard is after he had had the heart surgery, he really got profoundly depressed and just was never really the same.
So, a lot of people think that the suicide was, just because of depression. It also was because he was ill and he didn't want to live like that.
Yeah, yeah.
And then it goes to that thing about choice.
Mm-hmm.
I just wish it hadn't been so violent, and it seemed like, it's just sort of shocking. God bless him. Next.
That's Amy Ziering, who's the producer of The Hunting Ground and Invisible War and a number of documentaries.
About rape on
One's on
college
campus and one's in the military. She's also done other films.
But do you think that we're going back to rape again?
Oh shit!
The rape on the
Who put that
college
picture
campuses, it's changed a lot in the last 20 years in terms of the education and what is and what isn't.
And the other thing the thing that's changed, I think, is people filming it.
Everything is filmed now.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how different it is from, when we were in college, but I do know that.
God, people are filming things.
They're filming things, but also
good.
Kids now are growing up in a culture where there's like 24/7 hardcore porn that people are being raised on, and I don't know. I'm sure that has a big effect.
It's
on both males and females.
Very much so. Show us another.
That is Barbara Gruska, who's half of the Bell Brigade, which is an amazing band, phenomenal band.
And where'd you work? Did you open for her?
I didn't. I'm a
just
fan, and I know her. I just know her. We're friends.
Lovely. Say the name of her band again.
The Bell Brigade.
Everybody look her up.
Yeah.
Somebody else? Oh my God.
You recognize those?
Margaret Gomez.
Yeah.
And
Diane Amos.
Wonderful comedians. Where did you do this show?
That was in San Francisco. Not too long ago. We did a New Year's special.
Was it the one with the Kung Pao Jewish?
No, this was at the Brava Theater.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Same, yes, in New Year's Eve.
Look at you. That woman has made a tremendous amount of money.
And her one-woman shows are so amazing.
Oh, really?
Wait, which woman are you talking about?
Oh, Margo.
Yes,
Margo's
Margo.
shows are incredible.
Incredible.
But also the other woman, Diane
who's the Pine Sol lady.
Just
yeah. And they're both so nice.
Oh,
okay. This is a really
comedy icon.
Yeah, this is Dick Gregory.
Dick Gregory, one of the most prolific, brilliant political comedians that we've ever had.
Yeah, and was a really important influence on me because very early in my career I read his autobiography called Nigger. Sorry, but that's the name of the book.
You got to say it, yeah.
Yep. And it's
Isn't it weird?
It's a great book, and
we're saying it in quotes.
Well, he named it that because I think he said something about like wanting his mom to be proud when people said that because that's his book.
It's an issue for me because that people use the word in the rap community either with the AS or the ER, as part of a song, as a term of endearment. So I think it's so confusing to people. And I've never been a fan of the word, but I'm not a fan of any kind of word in redoing it. It's just not my thing. I don't think I'm as bold as you or even Nate Parker calling the movie The Birth of a Nation. I remember the first thing I said to him, "You're going to change that name, are you?" He says, "No, we're taking the title back."
Yeah.
You know, Birth of a Nation in theaters now.
But
Jay, have you seen it? Oh, look at him.
But here's
he
what
works
I loved
here with
about
me.
his book is that, and it's only about like his early life, like up through the civil rights, because he's got a lot more story to tell after that.
Definitely.
But what I loved about it was he was already a comedian. He was, and his story is great. But it was really about how he was moved to become active in the civil rights movement. And I just always felt like, I hope if there's something that I feel is more important than comedy, that I will,
I
likewise
think you already
get
are.
involved.
I think you already are. And I think, this is the last show for this year for a while, and we're taking off the rest of the year. We just found that out. The station's being moved to another location, and we're doing a whole redo. And I want to say to people before I go, it's important to support comedians like Betsy Salkind who risk and do things that are different. You may not like everything she says, but she's funny, and I think what we have to do is we have to be open to hearing something from a different point of view. And the thing about Birth of a Nation is this is a film from a black man's point of view about African Americans coming to this country. And I think that people have to be willing to see something from another point of view, understand somebody else's pain, and then be on the road with them in their shoes to recovery from all of this.
And the Nat Turner story is an amazing
yes,
story.
It's never forget for the Jews. It's silence equals death for the LGBT community. And then again, it's get over it to the black community. That's what people have said, get over slavery. We don't want to see another slavery film. I think it's important to see it from this point of view. And let me just say, and maybe I sound crazy, everyone who's seen the film has loved it. I mean, I think it's a masterpiece. I really do. And it's a film that one needs to see. And where are you playing next?
Tonight.
Oh, where?
Tonight I'm at a steakhouse in Pasadena.
So
Even though I'm a vegetarian.
So you're working out?
Yeah, I'm working out here. I just got off the road.
Because you're always working on new stuff, and I think you're so prolific.
It's a joy for me to try new stuff.
Show some more. Do we have any more clips? I mean, pictures, rather? Oh, my God.
Look who's that.
Look at my big head. And that's, oh, my God, that's Robbie Carlyle, and
I swear to you,
D-Lo and Andre Kelly.
I'm on my knees. There's Kira Sultanovich.
Kira, yes. It's a show we did at the Comedy Store.
Yep.
And it was called Jason Stewart and Friends, and most of my friends were either gay, bi, straight, black, white, Jewish, Russian.
Human.
Yeah.
Most of them, yeah.
I don't think they're human. No. Show us anything else? Oh,
that's Murray Valeriano.
How do I know him?
Murray does that podcast, Road Stories.
Oh, my God, yes, I did it.
Yeah.
I love him.
Yeah, Murray's great. He was actually at the Throckmorton with me in September.
Oh, I so want to do these political shows where people are really smart. They never ask me.
Well, I'll give you the information.
I would love to
look
at it.
You should be doing them.
I would love to,
Absolutely. Eddie Brill, and that was at San Francisco's Comedy Day. Every year they have a comedy day in Golden Gate Park, and all the comedians come and do sets, and it's really a pretty cool tradition there.
I've never done it. Do you go every year?
It's mostly local people. I've only done it a couple of times because I've had a long relationship with San Francisco comedy, but I'm not actually a San Francisco comic. I can't even speak anymore. But
Eddie
it's
Brill
a really cool thing.
People know him because he actually booked the comedians on the Letterman show for the whole time. What an interesting career that, and he's a comedian himself.
Yes,
what
and I knew Eddie from Boston from before that.
What a strange career to have.
Yeah.
I don't know how one does that, because you become basically disliked. There's no way because
liked by a small handful of people.
Exactly,
that you book.
because you can't put everybody on. There's no way.
That's part of why I've avoided ever booking a show, because I really love the community of comics, and I do not want to be excluding people.
Anything else? Do we have? Is that it? Oh, I love.
Oh, that's
this.
at FUBAR. That's the Mikey and Teddy show.
Yes, you look pretty.
Thank you. There's another squirrel.
Oh, this is the Squirrel Lady, And eating a tortilla.
Yes, so that's my gluten-free version.
Which is a little more, you've moved from
It's
Jewish.
Mexican squirrel now.
Yeah, I think so.
There I am backstage.
I love this.
Preparing to, that was a fundraiser. That's at the Writers Guild Theater.
I love the dress. I love what a wonderful photo.
And I got that dress from a fan who just brought it to a show one time and said, I think this is for you. Isn't that sweet?
This is, oh, there she is during her matzah days.
Yeah, so that's the older days. That's in San Francisco. That's a Margo Show. I was just trying to prove that there's actually people watching me. And that's where I'm just about to jump on the wall.
And
so that is actually from Anne Frank Superstar, believe it or not, because in the end, Let's Be Frank is canceled and it's replaced by Show Squirrels.
Do you feel trapped in this world?
That's me as a man.
Oh my God.
Yeah. That was a bit that I was doing right after Bruce Jenner transitioned to Caitlyn. And I was trying to pick up some of the male privilege he left behind. And I just did this whole set as a trans man.
Do you still self-identify as bisexual?
You know, if forced to. I'm getting to the point where I don't even think I'm sexual anymore. You know, just whatever. But you never know. I mean, I'm open to...
When I met you, you were, but then you got married and met this lovely man and you fell in love and you've been with him for 17 years. So certainly you're committed to him. Well, maybe you're not. Maybe
no,
you
I
have,
am.
Maybe
We're actually monogamous.
Oh.
Yeah.
I know
that was the deal we made.
Yeah. But do you still consider yourself bisexual?
I would, yeah, sure.
In your head?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because you've always been, oh my God, that's hysterical.
Okay, you know who that is?
No.
That is, well, I'm the little one. And that's Dot Jones, who's
from Glee.
From Glee, yeah. She's Coach Beast. And that was our little bit called Dot Jones and Peanut, which is, you can see that online. It's definitely not suitable for work. It's hilarious. And thank God it was posted online before Dot got that job, or no one would ever put that up. But it's a ventriloquist bit we do.
Where have you done this?
And we did it, that was probably... Mostly we did it in San Francisco, but we did it at the Comedy Store also. It originated in the Belly Room.
I would love to have her on the show.
She and I met on Roseanne. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
She was a wrestler in an episode.
She's got such a specific look.
And she's one of the nicest people you'll ever meet.
Well, what's really interesting about her is she has her own look, and she's been such a success. And you see that it's got to be talent and tenacity, because Nate Parker said something to me once. He said, when talent meets opportunity and being prepared, to have the opportunity to be in anything is so important. And she's certainly a product of that. So we're getting towards the end. People can go to betsysalkind.com and learn all about Betsy. They can get the book, Betsy's Sunday School Bible Classics, right here.
And there's also iPad versions, so they can go.
This. I love when he does this. I don't know how he does it, but
you guys are amazing.
Who did your website? It's really great.
A lovely woman in Canada.
Wow, I love it.
Named Allie Drummond.
I love it.
I'm not sure what that picture is, but...
It's your tweeting. Oh, that's Hillary. It's a video. Oh. Kay is I love that he does this. All about Betsy. Oh, I love it. I love it.
There's a lot of fun stuff on there, and also I'm on Facebook.
I thank you so much for being on the show, and I really, really appreciate your activism, your risk-taking. You've inspired me a lot in my life, because you've gone on stage, and I've always been more of a crowd pleaser. That's always been my first goal. And you've always stuck to your guns and done what you've done.
But you've also broken a lot of barriers. And also, I so appreciate, because we did, we worked in the Comedians Caucus together.
Oh, my God. It's Screen Actors Guild.
Yeah.
After,
I really, those were some amazing times.
And then that sort of led to my activism of starting the LGBT committee at SAG-AFTRA because of you inviting me to be a part of that. Well, I thank you so much, and I just love you to death.
Same here.
Everybody go to betsysalkind.com, and we will talk to you all in the new year.
Yes, in the bigger, better studio.
Yeah, apparently. Take care, everybody.
He's absolutely Jason, he's absolutely gay. He'll absolutely brighten up the darkest rainy day. funny and loves movies. He's smart and he's a Jew. He's an actor and